Good evening, folks. I hope you got your air conditioner on because I sure do. I am
I'm
Marlon
cooking.
Weems. Yeah, I know, man. I hope we don't have what is it, spontaneous combustion live on a
Man,
streaming channel. But
yeah.
anyway, I'm Marlon Weems. I'm the publisher of the Journeyman newsletter, and I'm here with my man um, Arturo Dominguez, who is the publisher of Decolonized Journalism. Both of us on Substack, and you can obviously catch us. We're streaming today on YouTube and on Facebook, and multiple chat platforms. But my goodness, we got a lot to talk about today, Arturo. We
Yeah.
got a lot to talk about, and I have had people criticize me in the past. And it's usually coming from Republicans that know what I do, and they say, "Oh, you don't ever criticize Democrats." Well, I hope they're listening because man, it is. I'm getting ready to unload because we're gonna. Well, I'm not gonna go too far with it, but yeah, lots to talk about, and I think probably maybe the easiest thing to do is kick off the intro and just take it up on the other side.
Works for me.
Time for a show with no name. Woo, man. Okay, where do we start? Um, Yesterday, Egberto and I spent a lot of time talking about the upset victory that Miss Angie Nixon had in Florida on Tuesday, and
The big one.
I have, yeah, it was a big win. No two ways about it. Just to recap, she was running against um, what first name Vinman, um,
Alexander
Alex
Vinman, I
Vinman,
think.
because there's
Yeah.
twins, and I was trying. Yeah,
Right.
Alexander Vinman, great guy. Really stepped up back during the first Trump term, and he was basically a whistleblower, and he paid the price for
Yeah.
it,
He did.
which is nice. But I would assume, I believe the man, he's Jewish, and I suspect, probably he got a lot of support from APAC and other similar, um, dark money
Yeah. A lot of packs.
owners.
Right.
A lot of packs, and he outraised her, Nixon, 16-1. I
Yeah.
mean, she had actually, it was a little bit worse than that because I don't think she even had $1 million. And
Right.
I think there's a lesson to be taken from that because we're going to see a whole lot of that. And here's, I mean, I have got a lot of little. I mean, this is of course, the person causing all the trouble, Angie Nixon. She was on yesterday. She was on Morning Joe, and I have to be honest, Joe kind of went easy on her. I mean, he was fair. I put it that way. He was
That's
still
weird.
Joe, but he was fair. Well, he just basically said, "Here are the things that I know you're for," and let her kind of talk about those things. And then he came back and said, "Now, this is you," because I think she joined the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, during her campaign, I believe. Um, and so he, hit the stuff, trying to get rid of prisons and all these different things, and she handled it very well. I mean, she basically said, "Look, I'm a Democrat. I've always been a Democrat. I don't agree with everything coming out of Washington." So why should I agree with? I don't have to agree with everything the DSA stands for, but they agree with everything I stand for. So
Right.
she does fine. Man, you ought to see this morning. I'm just going to. So this was this afternoon. Look at that. Look at the Chiron down there. They are trying to convince us that we do not want this. 65% of Democrats want the party to either stay like they are, which we've been losing. This is a poll coming out of, I think it was Axios. So you see, yeah. And they had this guy on the left, and he's going through talking about how people just want the middle and move to the center.
That's a lie.
Dude, then who the fuck is voting for these people? Who is voting for Angie Nixon down here against middle of the road Alex Vindman? Now, Steve Kornacki, it was so funny when he was calling it Tuesday night. He basically was like, yeah, people were worried that he thought, he was too confident and he didn't really work that. Basically going to say the guy lost because he's lazy. The guy had 16 minutes. They're saying, well, he didn't spend all of his advertising money because he was so sure he was going to win. He's saving it for the general. Guess what? Angie Nixon didn't spend no money on TV advertising. You know what she did? She went out and talked to some damn people.
Right. She knocked on doors. Right.
She knocked on doors because she is a community organizer. That's her background. She's used to doing that shoe leather, grassroots, getting out, shaking hands and kissing babies.
Right. And that, when it comes to Democrats, right, when AOC won, when Mamdani won, all this stuff, they're like, oh, we need to do what they did on social media. What they're missing is the good policy and the fact that all these folks that are winning went knocking on doors. Well, they actually talked to people.
You turn around and you got Hakeem Jeffries out here saying he's not from. All these guys are saying they're not for Medicare for all. They can't really give a good reason why, though. They never have. They're just not for it. I know the reason. The reason's because the pharmaceutical industry is probably propping them up, and we just can't see it.
Right, and Hakeem Jeffries, what in 2019 he was for Medicare for all.
I'm sorry, man. Somebody on MLR in the Substack chat room, I guess, thinks I was a little too generous with Joe Scarborough. They said Scarborough doesn't have a fair or decent bone in his rotten conservative body. Well, you know what? I mean, I don't even normally watch Morning Joe. The only reason I saw this interview, which actually happened yesterday morning, I didn't find out about it until noon when I was doing the show with Egberto, and it's on YouTube. But, I mean, for Joe, he, because you know how he can be, man. He'll just talk all over you and just, get all crazy. But he was decent with this lady. I'll give him credit for it. I just think, look, man, this is today. So there was that. I think I might have lost Mr. Arturo. I hope we get him back up. Looking at the Chirons. So here's one that is saying, this is again this afternoon, I think, well, obviously on Katie Tur's show, poll, 42% of Democrats don't want party to distance itself from woke statements and actions. Well, that's okay. I can get down with that. I guess that's good. But hang on a second. There he is. He's back. So this is what set me off today. I got this in today's email. And this is from the DSCC. So I believe that would be the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee. I think that's the right acronym. Right. This is crazy. Look at this, dude. These 5 Democrats need your help to win. They're asking for money. So who are the 5 Democrats? Well, it's James Talrico down in Texas. It's Mary Peltola in Alaska, John Ossoff. We all like these people. If I was in any one of these states, I'd vote for them. And then, of course, Roy Cooper, who I'm going to vote for, and Sherrod Brown. But look what's missing. They ain't asking for no money for the Senate campaign in Florida. They ain't
Right.
asking for no money in the Senate campaign in Michigan. You hear me? Y'all
Yeah.
see this? This came in my email today. I bet some of y'all got the same thing. Asking for money, but not asking for you to give any money to these. And Abdul said, and he's not even the Democratic Socialist. He's progressive. So I mean, that's what he says.
Right.
He's not a member of that group. But you see, they're showing their hand. Now, look at this. Hang on. If I can get myself together here. Here is, this is from Sahil Kapoor. Wait, Arturo, I think you posted this. I think that's where I saw it.
I did.
So you can
Yeah, I
read it
did.
for the folks that are listening. This is crazy.
Well, I don't know if I can read it because I'm on my phone.
I got it. I got you, brother. I got you.
Oh,
man.
yeah. The Democrats
So this is Sahil Kapoor, who I believe he's with NBC, but I forget. But good guy, does good reporting, and he says a Democratic strategist on Angie Nixon's victory in the Florida primary. This is the comment of one of these strategists on Angie Nixon winning in Florida. Quote, honestly, might be for the best. Tons of money won't get wasted there. Unquote. So the theory, according to Sahil Kapoor, is that Florida wasn't ever in play in the first place, and Vindman would have attracted major Dem donor cash. In other words, dark money, PAC money, super PAC money that can now go somewhere else to winnable races. They still haven't figured out that this shit ain't about money, dude.
Right.
This guy had money and lost.
Right. Here's the thing that bothers me about this. This is Democrats seeding Florida before an election. This is what Democrats have done. This is what Democrats have done to us in Texas for 30 years. And when I posted this across social media, right? Not just on Substack. I posted it on Facebook and Threads and all that.
I think that's where I saw it, on Threads.
And man, on Threads, them centrists are rationalizing this. Rationalizing not spending money in Florida, seeding Florida, give it up. There's no point. They said the same thing about Texas. And it's like, here you have.
I respond to you talking about Andrew Gillum and talking about how Florida had changed. You're fucking right, it's changed. There are more doggone minorities and people of color in Florida, I would imagine. And there's got to be a whole bunch of pissed off Latinos that voted for Trump.
Right, and where Angie Nixon won, we have to remember that in Joe Biden won South Florida, all the Cuban American strongholds, Broward County, Miami-Dade, all of South Florida, Biden won. They lost the state because they didn't bother anywhere else. All Democrats ever do with Florida is go try to appeal to Cubans. Cubans are like not even 30% of the population. I mean, there's only 3 million of us in the United States total. You're not going to win a state like that. You're not swinging elections with just Cubans. You have to go appeal to the majority white people who are in that state. It's the same with Texas. Right now, Greg Abbott check this out. Greg Abbott has 67 million in his war chest. Gina Hinojosa has 3. Gina Hinojosa is polling neck and neck with Greg Abbott, giving him fits, and Greg Abbott's having a panic about it. So why is it that Democrats have not given Gina Hinojosa a dime? I know she doesn't want to take PAC money, and that's part of her campaign. That's her appeal. But you could take money from the party, like Democrats
they're not supporting her at all.
Not so far. They haven't given her anything. She had to loan her own she had to loan her campaign $300,000 to get off the ground, and she's raised $6 million. She spent $3. She only has $3 million left. Greg Abbott is already putting out $11 million worth of ads talking about Democrats are scared of his transformative policies. Get the fuck, what? You've been in power how long now? Everything wrong with this state. Come on now.
They've had the control top to bottom in Texas for what, 30 some odd years?
30 years. They've had the majority. Yeah.
I
Not even
honestly
close.
can't
Yeah.
remember who the last Democrat was. Well, was it Ann Richards? I mean,
Ann Richards was our governor. Yeah.
dude, I'm still living in Little Rock. That's crazy.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
like this whole
I mean, I
rationalizing
listen to
getting-
guys
getting
like oh, you know, Axelrod, Jim Messina, the Pod Save America guys. That whole dude. I looked the other day and I saw actually, I may have it. I saw a chart just outlining the money that top podcasts. You know, Joe Rogan's at the top. And then, you know, different ones, Jon Stewart, the folks you can imagine. And these guys, and then it has like the revenue. I mean, that Pod Save America podcast, how about 28 million a year?
They get money from all kinds of rich people and PACs and all that stuff. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I just
they're not
look at
truly
these
independent.
guys. Dude, I look at those guys and I'm like, okay, I see why you're saying what you're saying. You know, Joe Rogan's a different story. Joe Rogan is the most successful dumb guy I've ever seen in my life. He says stuff
I was
that
going
is
to say.
so dumb. I mean, and I don't mean uninformed. I mean, like, I'm surprised this guy, you know, just the basics. He just doesn't know things.
He's the embodiment of willful ignorance. I mean, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't defeat.
Day, man. He's just like, it's like, dude, how do you not know this? You're getting paid $100 million a year, but I guess there's a certain audience that he probably appeals to the guys who also don't know a whole lot. That's their man.
You notice how, right? You notice how when they banned weed in Texas, he's still smoking it on his podcast, and nobody kicks his door down.
I'm sorry, what?
After they banned weed here in Texas, he continues to smoke it on his podcast, and nobody's kicking his door down.
So he's located in Texas. I had no idea where. I just don't watch Joe Rogan, and I try to avoid him. Every once in a while. I'll run across him. But
he moved here several years ago.
Man, all these MAGA billionaires and multimillionaires are headed to Texas. Interesting.
Yeah.
Boy, they will have a conniption fit if Hinojosa wins. You know it?
Yeah. Yeah, I really hope she does. Maybe they'll leave.
Well, take Elon. Didn't Elon move down there?
Yeah. Yeah, he has a big old house in Austin, and then he has some shack down there in his little town near the border where they launched the SpaceX rockets. I can't even remember what the place is, what it's called. I don't really care. But yeah, you know, this whole thing about, you know, seeding the state like this, you know, Florida, like they do this with all the southern states. If you notice that, all the former slave states, they just.
I mean, Arkansas. I don't even know if Arkansas. Well, put it this way: Tom Cotton runs unopposed in Arkansas.
Yeah.
That's just, you know, come on, that's disgusting.
Right, because there's nobody backing anyone to challenge him. You know, so like, why are you going to try to run for? Most people don't want to be in politics, and you have to make it worthwhile. If you know, nobody's going to take that chance knowing they're just going to get stomped all over the ground, especially in Arkansas. You know what I mean? So it's just, you know, I think Hinojosa here and a lot of the Democrats that won these primaries in Florida, you know, they won with little money and they won on policy. You know, not taking PAC money, you know, putting restrictions on data centers, clamping down on the surveillance state, you know, taking care of people here at home. Also, there's a couple people that ran on lifting sanctions on Cuba, on, you know, cutting funding to Israel. Like the foreign policy discussion is still very much in play. Maybe not as much of a priority as domestic policy is for most voters, but it's still very much in play. And a lot of the people that are backed by like AIPAC and all this stuff, the pro-Israel lobby, they're the ones saying, don't waste your time with these people. Don't waste your money in Texas. Don't do this. Don't, you know, and it's really frustrating because the reason we're the most voter suppressed state in the country right now here in Texas is because Democrats ignore us. Like Republicans have free reign. They know Democrats aren't even going to try,
You
and
know,
we've proven
man.
over
You
we've
know
proven
something.
over and over that a Democrat can win here, but they have to be progressive. Centrists lose here in Texas. Progressives win. Period. That's
Well,
all
I'll
there is
tell you
to it. I
something,
mean,
and because of that, I don't think whether Democrats, the party establishment gives money or not. I don't know if it's going to matter this time, because
I don't think it
it
will.
just
Yeah.
seems to me that the energy is as such. First of all, people are pissed, dude.
Absolutely.
Remember I told you I had a wreck, so I had to buy a new car. Man, I filled this thing up with gas for the first time the other day. And I purposely let it get all the way down to where, it was almost on totally empty. $70.
Damn.
To fill my
What
tank
kind of
up.
car?
It's
Well,
just
it's a smaller car.
I mean, it's not a Maybach, man. It's just a Hyundai Santa Fe. It's a nice Santa Fe, but okay. It's not even the new body style. So it's not like a big SUV. I mean, it's an SUV, but not the big extended, type, like the newer body style. And yeah, 70 bucks. I had 70 bucks, but dang, I hadn't planned to put it all in the gas tank,
Right. Like I'm leaning on this F-350 diesel with a trailer on it. Right. It already has a 40-gallon tank. It also has 250-gallon diesel tanks in the bed of the truck. You try to fill this thing up, it's like $500.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we don't. That's why it sits. That's why it sits. It just sits here.
Oh, listen, the plant bus ain't moved. Diesel is like 560.
Yeah. And that's higher than it is here.
We'll do an event Sunday, and it'll be probably, it's not only the gas, and it's hot as hell here. So
yeah,
we just tell people, come to us. You want some plants? Well, here's where we are. Come, make an appointment, and we'll let you walk through the bus. But yeah, man, I just think that, that level of anger is not Democratic or Republican anger. That is, everybody's getting hit. Everybody's getting hit.
And honestly, if you want to have success in Texas, we're an oil-rich state. So guess what wins here? Economic populism. Democrat centrists are not economic populists, and that's why they don't win. So like Beto came close, but he wasn't quite progressive enough. He couldn't live down the "hell yeah, we're going to take your guns" that he said in the Democrat primary.
He thought that was what he needed to say to be progressive, and it's like, no, bro, that ain't. You didn't have to go that far.
Texas.
Not in Texas.
Look, right. I'm progressive as hell, but you're not going to take my guns. I'm a gun owner. I live in Texas. I need to have guns. You know what I'm saying? This is Texas. You're surrounded by guns. You better have one.
Listen, man, I'm in North Carolina, and I don't have a gun because now when I was in Arkansas, I had a 12 gauge shotgun under the bed with a big old belt of shells and all. Not for any particular threat. I hunted a bit.
Yeah, it's home protection.
And yeah, but yeah, I'm getting ready. Because I'm telling you, I just think with this midterm, Trump is going to try to act a fool. I really do. I don't know where it's going to come from. It's probably not going to be North Carolina, I don't think. But I just think these guys are going to try some shit. And I was listening this afternoon, the entity within the government, I think it's CIFA or something like that does all the, election monitoring, cybersecurity stuff, all that, looking out for, any kind of external threats. And this is coming from both red and blue states where the government is just not even trying to help them in the least way. And right. Literally, I heard a guy who was not a Democrat say, the threat now is coming from inside the country. It's coming from the government.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they are literally having to line up attorneys like, on call in
Yeah.
the event
To
that
be ready.
ICE shows up or the FBI shows up and says, give us your, give us all the votes or the ballots, So it's
Right,
it's gonna
right.
get crazy.
Yeah, I think I saw something today where like Greg Abbott and uh, might have been Ken Paxton were threatening. I think it was just Greg Abbott, maybe, but they were threatening Houston and several areas around there where we live to take funding from them if they didn't allow for Homeland Security's election, something, something. I didn't get to read the
Oh
details
yeah, well,
of it.
what's happening is the federal government is wanting the voter rolls and wanting all kind of,
Right.
private information and no, I mean they
Abbott,
should,
Abbott,
they're up to
Abbott
something because
voluntarily turned that over.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Abbott voluntarily turned over the voter rolls to Trump, like right away. We didn't even challenge it or anything.
See, that's the
It's
thing, man.
crazy.
That should have been an instant lawsuit.
Yeah,
That should have been
I
coming
think
from
they tried to.
Democrats.
I don't know.
I'm surprised the NAACP or somebody, or even the ACLU or somebody. I would have thought that they would challenge something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
You
well.
know, the courts here are not in our favor. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
this is what happens when you just cede states to other people and to the fascists, and it's almost like the centrists and Democrats are just happy with this gridlock. Centrist voters and Democrats are happy with this gridlock we've been stuck in for 20 years with Republicans in Congress, and like I get the impression they don't want to do anything. And
Well, look,
so far the
man.
centrists.
I mean, think about it this way, Arturo. Inaction is working pretty well for some of these guys.
Of course.
It's almost like warning, but not actually, like you said, they're not actually doing anything. Even Biden, and I voted for Biden. Biden wasn't my first choice, but okay, he did a lot of good stuff. But man, there were two or three things and I think what people want to see, and we see it on the Republican side, not in the greatest way. Not, they don't use their powers for good, so to speak. But we need some folks that will go for the fucking jugular,
Yeah.
And when Biden got in there, I voted for him with the expectation that he was going to, not just go back to normal, but make it so that the shit we're going through now could not happen. And
Right.
I'm not putting all the blame on him because Republicans let Trump off the hook to begin with. But
They did. Yeah.
Merrick Garland. It was almost like that was a makeup call for Merrick Garland not getting in the Supreme Court. And now, knowing what we saw from the Justice Department, I shudder to think what he would have done on the Supreme Court.
I know. I do too. I think of that all the time. The time.
So
and
I'm just saying, man, when people were saying, hey, Biden, we need to expand the court. He just he just didn't see it. He just thought all he needed to do was get back in, and he knew these guys, and they would, he could talk to them, and he could talk some sense into them, and that did not work out.
Right, and what kills me is Biden won. I mean, he didn't fulfill any of the promises he made on the campaign trail, but he won on a progressive platform.
Yeah,
he beat Trump on a progressive platform. So then,
and he did some things that were fairly more progressive than most Democrats would, historically.
Yeah, I mean, he did bow to Republicans a lot, particularly with that bipartisan border bill. That was a gift to Republicans, restricting amnesty, enforcement only policy. And it gave them everything they wanted.
And Trump, I mean, think about it, man. For this guy to be, have the reputation as a deal maker, we've seen his his deal making skills. They are not that good. I mean, because think
Right.
about it, like you say, that was a gift. Thank
It was.
goodness Trump did not want Democrats to be able to say they had done something on immigration.
Right. Right.
And his
And then, you know,
ignorance saved us.
right. And there's a lot of bills that Democrats will put on the table just to send a message. They'll put it on the table because they know Republicans will shit on it, even if it's a gift to them. They're going to crap on it because of Trump. And they're like, that was the whole point of the bipartisan border bill. They put it out there. They gave Republicans everything they wanted. They knew Trump was going to tank it. Now they could go around and say, oh, well, you're the one who didn't get signed, you know, didn't want the bill. Republicans didn't want the bill. And what did that accomplish? It didn't accomplish anything. You got to talk shit for a year. That was it. You know, so like Democrats need to get serious about doing things. Like,
And we
forget
still
this message.
we still
Right,
lost.
right, right, right. And then, you know, the other thing that kills me is, you know, Hakeem Jeffries, or no, it was Cory Booker. Somebody, one of them said the other day, said, "Oh, I want you guys to remember that so and so Trump appointee was only you know confirmed by one vote in the Senate." And my response to that was, should we remind him about how the Senate voted 99-0 for Marco Rubio? How Cory Booker was about it, all gleeful, and didn't even ask the guy questions. They sat there just talking and cracking jokes back and forth. Like it wasn't even a serious confirmation hearing. And every single Democrat voted for that bastard. Look what he's doing. You know, so don't come to me that, oh, we can do so much in the Senate with just a couple of extra Democrats. No, dude, we need to get rid of these Republicans and Democrat suits, because that's what Cory Booker turned into. You know, that's what Hakeem Jeffries became. And, you know, Hakeem Jeffries' response to single payer healthcare is restore the ACA subsidies. Like insurance wasn't the most expensive in history before Trump took those subsidies, right? Insurance was hard to pay for before Trump. I mean, it's impossible now, but a lot of people struggled. Like in Texas, we didn't expand Medicaid. We didn't take any of the ACA money. So even for me to try to apply for health insurance through the ACA was $1,300 a month for just me.
Oh.
If I added my wife and my kids, it's like $5,000 a month. It's like, because we're in such a gray area here, and a lot of the country can't afford to pay $1,200, $1,500 a month and then spend $10,000 on deductibles before you can, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
come on, man. The ACA isn't that good. I don't know why they seem to think that restoring the subsidies is going to help anyone. It's going to put us right back to where we were, and that's what got Trump elected. So I'm, you know, what are you doing? You know, right now economic populism is winning the day on domestic policy, and that's basically across the board. And I think Democrats are missing the boat, man. Like, if they don't lose this time around, they'll lose in the next election. And that's basically all there is to it, because people are turning, and even the one progressive in Florida that lost still got 43% of the vote. That's progress for progressive.
I don't know what kind of
That's a
logic
huge-
these guys are using. I mean, like I said,
Right.
that piece from Sahil Kapoor, where I wish I knew who that guy was or person that said.
Oh, I asked him. He won't tell me. He won't tell me. I told him, I was like, I'm starting to doubt you talk to anybody. He just laughed. I'm like, you fucker.
Well, you know,
I mean,
I'm sure
he-
whoever it
he
was
talked to
said it on
somebody. I
background.
just-
But I see these guys, these consultants on television, even on Bloomberg, you know, like in the evening, they'll have a Democratic consultant and they'll have a Republican. And what I notice about the Republicans, as Looney Tunes as some of their positions are, they stick to that shit, you
Mhm.
know? And it's like, you do know you sound crazy, right? And
Right, but
on
like-
the other hand, we've actually got good policies. We got policies that people like, but
Yeah,
the establishment doesn't like them. You know,
right.
It's
I don't
just
understand
baffles me,
what-
man. It baffles me.
It's like it's like Democrats want to go back to this world that doesn't exist anymore. It hasn't existed. This whole neoliberalism idea is basically neoliberalism is basically a bunch of Republicans and Democrat suits. But um, yeah, that like they, you know, Kamala Harris said we're not going back, right? But she was talking about we're not going back to the 1950s. The reality is she wanted to go back to like Obama or Clinton or something like that. And that was the platform. And that's not a winning platform. Nobody wants to go back to the times when we were all struggling.
Listen,
We
man,
finally knew people are tired of it. People are tired.
I was talking the other day, and a lot of what we're dealing with now with folks like Hakeem Jeffries and and the like really goes back to Bill Clinton and
It
the
does.
Democratic Leadership Council. I was still living in Little Rock then when he became president, and
Yeah.
it was basically a strategy of, we're coming off Reagan winning and the whole Newt Gingrich, that whole revolution and all of that. And man, I remember when Democrats did not want to be called liberal. They used to
Yeah.
run from that like they're running from the DSA stuff. Oh my
Right.
goodness, man. The worst thing you could say to a Democrat, a politician, was call them liberal.
Right. I
Radical
remember
liberal.
that.
And so they basically, and they still do it. They
Right. And
allow Republicans to set the tune, and
right. And a lot
basically
of the
decided we
a
can't
lot,
beat them, so we'll just be a little bit like them, but we'll be nicer or something. I don't know.
right. And the thing is, man, like a lot of people don't realize this, but even the progressives like Al Sayed and I mean even Mamdani, they're center left, right? They're not even really leftists. They're not true socialists, and they sure as hell ain't communists. They're not even close.
I
But
don't think these
but
guys,
know,
dude. I think that when I hear these guys throwing around, Marxists and communists, they like a guy like Marco Rubio knows what the fuck a damn Marxist is. He knows
I
doggone
don't think he
well.
does.
Oh, I
I
think
don't
he
think he
does.
does.
I don't think he's that dumb, man. I might be wrong. I think he knows what a communist is.
I don't know.
I
My
mean,
dad says
I
he's
have
pretty
to.
dumb. My dad knows that family.
Well, I will take your your advice, but I just figure anybody in his position should know the difference. But he knows these people are not communists, and
Right.
it's just
Right.
such a red herring to me, man. It just pisses me off when I hear these guys talking like this.
Right. It is. And I don't know that Marco Rubio actually knows what a communist is because his family fled Batista before Castro, all
Hmm.
that, and his family tried to move back to Cuba after the revolution, and they only lasted a few months. His parents bailed from there, but they weren't run out. They just didn't want to. It wasn't what they expected, so they came back. Um, yeah, I think Rubio knows what he's doing by labeling everything communist. They just sanctioned what's the name of that group? It's been around in Cuba since Castro took office, and it's like the Friends of something. Damn it, I can't remember now. Anyway, they're the group in Cuba like supported U.S. civil rights. They bring
Hmm.
marginalized people together. They solidarity with marginalized people all over the world, and of course Marco Rubio sanctioned them, right? Because they promote equality and celebrating their Black history and all that stuff, and of course he wants to sanction that, and he wants to call everybody communist. But I think one thing that he does know, because he's at the State Department and he's been in the Senate, is that only 18% of Cubans on the island are actually communists. Everybody in Cuba believes in the socialist project, and they're not necessarily communists. And he knows that. He knows that there's a diversity of thought and voices and in the National Assembly and things like that, just like it is here. I mean, the National Assembly in Cuba is bigger, more diverse than ours, than our Congress or Senate. So I think he knows those things. I'm not sure that he can define communism because he's grown up around a family and with these ideas that basically everything they don't like is communism. Everything they don't like
Now
is
there it
socialism.
is, right there.
And here's what, right, and here's what kills me. Maria Elvira Salazar, which is the congresswoman in the Miami area, she had just posted something earlier today about how she is gonna, propose a bill in Congress to basically get subsidies for people in South Florida so that they don't move away. And I'm like, wait, so South Florida is too expensive. You're worried they're going to leave, so you want to subsidize people to stay. I'm like, that sounds socialist to me, man. Like, what?
Man,
What?
so much. There is so much about
right.
politics that is socialist. That's the thing that really gets me, man. I mean, everything from Social Security. Why did they think what? They just couldn't think of a different thing to call it. Social Security. I mean, it's socialism.
It's in the name.
I mean, it's literally in the fucking name, right? And
Right.
I mean, the whole
Right.
idea of fire departments and all this stuff. So here's something I'm working on. I hadn't really talked about this very much. Let's see if I can find it. This is, so I have before I started, doing this and working with folks like you, I left trading and I was, I guess what you'd call a subject matter expert on market structure and stuff like that. And I used to write these, these white papers and reports, and a lot of that stuff is still out there. But when COVID hit, that business went dormant because my clients were basically indirectly Wall Street banks that were buying the research that I was authoring. Anyway, so I sort of resurrected that business, and that's if folks notice, I haven't been doing my moments of Zen, and I haven't been quite as active on notes as I used to be. It's because I've just got a couple of projects that I'm working on, and one of them, and this is something this is going to be a deep dive into all these political labels and what they actually mean. And I am drawing from, there are a lot of international organizations that look at countries and they look at, how democratic or not different countries are. And they look at all of the, so for example, in the United States, over the last several years, they've been, they monitor are we leaning towards socialism or more democratic? And so anyway, that's the cover page, and the rest I'm still editing and making sure I'm not making mistakes and stuff like that. But that is something that I would, if I were doing my old job, that's something somebody would pay me a lot of money for. But I'm going to give it away because I think going into this election, the more people can be armed. When somebody says democratic socialist, here's what it means. And it kind of goes into detail and, which compares our country with, say, Sweden or Norway, or what's the difference and all of that stuff. I just think it's something that traditional media should be doing, and they're not doing it. So I'm doing it. So if now go ahead, man.
Traditional media, I was going to say traditional media is failing us in so many ways, but I'll go ahead. I'll let you finish before I change the subject on us.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said, I'll let you finish before I accidentally change the subject on us.
I mean, that was it, really. We were just talking about these political labels, and I just, it reminded me, I really need to finish this thing. I want to get it out, maybe right after Labor Day, because that's when we really, sort of get into the push for the midterms. And there is going to be a shit ton of propaganda and misinformation, and, so maybe it'll help people a little bit.
Yeah, the propaganda is crazy right now. So I'm essentially at this point, anybody who keeps talking about Hassan Piker at this point, I'm just blocking them, dude. Like, what the hell are you even talking about? I tried to tell people in Texas, no one gives a shit about Hassan Piker. Most people don't know who he is down here.
I don't understand.
Most people don't care. Right. The only, Gail, did you see the video I posted of Gail King?
Yes, I
going
did.
After,
I did
Jesus
see it.
Christ, like, she's all harassing.
It was Andrew Nixon.
Angie
Yeah,
Nixon,
she was
right?
talking to Angie Nixon.
About campaigning with Hassan Piker. She's like, I never campaigned with Hassan Piker. She's like, I don't know him. I barely know of him. And Gail King's like, apologize for asking a stupid question, and then comes back with, "Will you campaign with him?" Like, are you? She just said she doesn't know the guy.
That. It's like, have you ever beat your wife? Oh,
Yeah.
Well, would you? Would you beat her? I mean, what in the world kind of
Right.
was that?
When you put it like that,
I mean, it was just so stupid when she said that. Because she made. Think about this. That wasn't a mistake. This woman is on CB. Well, I mean, Barry Weiss is running shit now, so maybe that's how they're doing stuff. But no, I mean,
but
Gail
dude,
King is a professional.
she has a whole. Right, Gail King has a whole team, a team of people, and somebody put that question in there. Right, and they had clips of Hassan Piker and all this, and even after Nixon said no, they're still rolling the pictures of Piker in the background, and it's like, you dumbasses. And that's the state of journalism today. It's not just CBS. MS Now is like that. All ABC is like that. Speaking of ABC, remember how they paid that $15 million settlement to Trump? Yeah, how's that working out now? They're about to lose their license.
You know what? Yeah, it's looking stupid. It's looking real stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading about that. And some of these universities, I think it was Brown that paid out some money. And there's a whistleblower out there now, I believe associated with Brown or one of the Ivy League schools that paid out money. They didn't even see what the charges were going to be.
Right.
The government never actually showed them what law they had broken. They just paid because they were thinking, and I understand the logic, I guess, but they at that, the government had frozen all their money and was threatening to, do more. And they just said, basically, let's just lay back and take it and just move on. And I guess they never thought anybody would figure out or hear that they just coughed up the money like that.
Right. Yeah.
But it just goes to show you cannot negotiate with a bully. You just can't.
No.
You got to turn around and knock the shit out of the bully. You can't, well, I'll do it this time and maybe he'll go away. No, he never goes away. The bully never goes away.
No.
I mean, just look at Trump. Everybody that has tried to appease him, oh, shoot, that's just fuel for him to come back and try to screw you worse. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's sometimes I think me and you are the only, I mean, in our group, in our, the people in our circle, how is it we can see this so clearly? And maybe it's because, nobody's paying me six figures, so I'm not under any pressure. If I lose my job, nothing's going to change.
Right. And like, dude, you'd be surprised how many people like my wife has talked to, because, we raised a trans kid and we come up here to East Texas, way up here, and everybody wants to talk to us about that. They're concerned about all these things they heard from Trump and from whoever and from blah, blah, blah. We're like, dude, no, we just raised a kid. It's like, it was none of those things. Every kid has their own issues. Every kid has their own needs. Ours happen to be trans. One of ours happened to be gay. We're just raising kids, man. Like,
I don't have I haven't gone through that experience. However, one of my children is, in the LGBTQ community. And I remember when they were scared to tell us, it wasn't as bad as other things that I shouldn't say scared, but really, it's one of those things, late at night and we're thinking, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, what's happened, and that's what it was. And that was like a 5-minute conversation, man. You still my child. Right. I mean, what, get out? I mean, what am I going to say? I mean, so we're open enough about, what we think of these kind of issues that it was not a thing at all.
Yeah. But you'd be surprised how many of these people open up to my wife about this better than me, because I'm a little bit more aggressive than she is. But like everybody loves my wife. They'll talk to her about whatever they feel comfortable talking to her. They don't think it's going to blow up into something. But like, dude, she's convinced moms. She's convinced old people. She's convinced all these people that, look, dude, it's not that, and requires very little explaining when you just take out all the bullshit. You're just raising kids, right?
What, man, these guys have built a national campaign around an issue that affects like 10 people. In terms of, look, hold on, where is it? This is a woman who can't find Taiwan on a map, and she's this Lindsey Graham's sister. Look at this. She doesn't know anything, and so now she's on Fox trying to explain, why she fucked up. Just really kind of a layup question. I mean, when you're talking about, like foreign security and all this kind of stuff, you don't know how to answer a question about Taiwan. I mean, she didn't have to go like real deep. She could have just said, whatever. Instead, she's saying this for folks who are listening and not watching. This is Darlene Graham, who is in the Senate right now, getting a paycheck, trying to run again. And keep in mind, they want to talk to us about DEI and meritocracy and all that kind of stuff. So, Darlene Graham says, I tripped up on one question last night, talking about the debate that she was having regarding Taiwan. I don't speak politician. I was just honest. Of course, Taiwan is our friend, but I think people in South Carolina are more worried about boys and girls sports. And I'm just,
do they even have boys and girls sports there?
That she's worried about. I don't even know if there are any trans people in sports in South Carolina. So what the fuck is she worried about? And
so get this.
Look, dude, this is kind of mean, but Lindsey was right there. You wouldn't worry. I mean, come on. Everybody, I'm not saying Lindsey was trans. I'm just saying, why are you so worried about the 5 or 10, trans people just minding their own damn business?
Right. And like here in Texas, of course, the whole trans thing, no boys and girls sports or whatever. Well, there was a trans boy, right, from Girl to Boy. Mm-hmm. And because of the rules, it explicitly forbid that boy from getting into wrestling, school sports wrestling with the boys team.
Okay.
Here's a kid who's on testosterone. Okay. They put him in there with the girls. And what'd he do? He whooped all the girls' asses all up and down the state. Won the state title.
So wait.
Now everybody's pissed off. Everybody's pissed off. And it's like, had you let the kid wrestle with the boys, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But this is how ignorant people are.
That person probably wouldn't have been that. It wouldn't be like they were getting first place. They just would have been like a regular boy.
Right. And because he was on all the testosterone, of course he kicked all the girls' asses. And that's the stupidity and ignorance that we deal with, right?
But here's the thing:
you're mad when he's wrestling with the boys, but then you're mad when he beats all the girls.
I'm sorry, man, that sounds like a sitcom. That's so silly.
Right.
Look,
right.
It's not funny, but what gets me is these guys will get a topic, however stupid it sounds. Like I said earlier, this trans thing, this is silly. But you know what?
Yeah.
They hammer it and hammer it and hammer it to the point. And I've said this before, some of my former colleagues that I talk to all the time, and we get to talking about politics and this and that. And invariably, I've had two of them I've had to literally call out. They start talking about Democrats are too, they really need to back off of this trans stuff. And I'm like, what are you? None of us, this is the extent to which Democrats are talking about, trans in sports. Nobody's trying to pass any laws or, I think even the corporate Democrats would agree that everybody has a right to live their fucking life and be left alone. But
I think when it comes to trans in
these
sports,
Republicans, man, they hammered the point so hard. And I remember last election, presidential election, it was every other commercial was something about Kamala and trans. And they just,
right.
I'm in North Carolina. I've seen one commercial today for Roy Cooper. Now, I'm not on terrestrial. I'm, streaming and stuff, but still, I hear commercials.
That's the thing.
I hear commercials attacking Dick Durbin over some shit. I don't even, and they paint they're painting Dick Durbin. And you know where I'm hearing it? On MS Now. There's a commercial that I hear 2 or 3 times a day on some policy that Dick Durbin is supporting, or a bill he's trying to get passed. And it's coming from some, right-wing PAC or something. And you would think Dick Durbin was some far right radical. Dick Durbin, right, of all people.
Right.
I like never hear Democrats talking about anything.
Right. Like my thing, what I like about Dick Durbin is all the work he's done for the immigrants in Illinois. You know what I mean? Like, and for the immigrants nationally. And I respect him for that. I disagree with him on a lot of other stuff.
I don't dislike him. I think he's just kind of,
right.
He's just a little too soft, And again, he's one of these guys.
Too soft.
He's been there a long, long time, and he comes from the era of regular order, where these guys, their families went out together and they hung out, away from that kind of stuff. That day is so gone. And you know what? It's unfortunate, but I mean, that's just where we are. You know what? We're closing in on an hour, and there's something that we really got to talk about. Egberto and I spoke about this yesterday, and it's this. So you remember in the Los Angeles mayor's race, and then again in Wisconsin with Francesca
Hong.
Hong, rather, sorry. This way out poll that had her ahead 20 points or something. And then we found out a couple of days ago that the company, I think it's Marion Strategies or something like that.
Meridian. I think it's Meridian. I think it was.
It's a really, I thought it was Meridian too, but anyway, the point is, they issued a statement yesterday basically saying, you know what, it was a joke. It was a social experiment. Here's their state. So it's Median Strategies. This is their press release. Median Strategies polling discontinued. And they go into it and they basically said, we're just doing something to see if disinformation could, what effect it would have on a race. And I'm like, this is sounding illegal to me. But you know what? I'm just a guy doing a little streaming show. So maybe I don't know. But now, dude, listen, this guy. So this causes us to have to completely reframe the race that occurred in Wisconsin, because the media basically said, oh, see, these polls had her ahead and they probably oversampled young people. And what I heard was, sort of this confirms that young people don't vote. This poll that had, because they said, well, they oversampled, they just, sampled based on vibes, and they should have been blah, 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 looking at likely voters or whatever. Well, come to find out, now we know this was just somebody experimenting. And turns out just before just before. That's the wrong one. Hang on. Here we go. A 21-year-old kid is behind this shit. I don't have I have the article. I will post a link. I didn't have a chance to really grab much of it, but the bottom line is this guy basically said he just wanted, he's just kind of interested to see basically the effect of misinformation.
Right.
I just wanted to see
I
if fake
have
news
thoughts.
would penetrate the ecosystem.
How much did he make on Polymarket?
I don't know, but I can tell you this.
That's the question.
Our media isn't doing anything. Now, in the statement that he dropped, he says nobody was in the stock market, nobody got paid. So that's what he says. Now, the way the Guardian figured it out was they just, once they knew the name of the company, they started looking at, which is what our media should have been doing. They started looking at filings and, registration, whose name's on the website, all that kind of stuff. And they figured him out. So that just happened maybe not even an hour ago. So,
right. So
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, the thing is, so if he manipulates the election, makes it look like, odds are Hong's going to win, you put your money in on Crowley, on Polymarket, you make a lick, right? You make a killing probably. But then there's another thing that I've had this discussion with some other people is maybe it was a manipulation to make it look like Hong was a shoe-in. Then you create all this panic about Francesca Hong, which gets more voters to turn out to vote for Crowley, who had dropped out and only got from the race because Emmers told him to get back in the race.
And how about this?
So
the flip side of that, though, is you make people think she's a shoe-in, and some people figure, oh, she's got this, I don't even have to go vote.
They stay home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's
you get bigger turnout on one side,
like
lower on the other.
Guy, you know what? At the very least, this is the kind of thing that a guy, to me, he's got to get called in. He's got to come testify. If I'm in Congress, he's got to come talk to us about why did you do this? What, you know what I'm saying?
Right. There's a criminal element. There's a criminal element here, manipulating elections, interfering with elections.
I think it is, man. I really do. I mean,
I do think there is. I think if somebody thinks deeper, they're going to find some really nefarious shit.
Yeah. There's something. To me, even if none of the Polymarket, Kalshi, none of that stuff, just that he did some shit like this, and he's coming out giving interviews saying, "Oh, I just wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to see if my misinformation could get into the ecosystem and be legitimized," which it was. I didn't even know anything about Francesca Hong until I heard she was 20-something points ahead. I'm like, who the hell is this woman? But I think,
well, I mean, I saw her. I saw the interview with Walter Reed, so I knew about her then. But yeah, I was surprised when she was 20-something points ahead. I was like, holy cow! They even had Fox News freaking out.
Dude, I bet she was surprised too. It's crazy.
Maybe, yeah.
So anyway, man.
Yeah, shameful stuff, man.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up, man, because I don't want you to stay out there in that Texas sun. And I'm looking at the sun behind you now, man. That's got to be beating you up.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little shady spot here because of these trees behind me, but it's filtered shade. I get some sun. But like right now, there's a breeze, so it's not. It was 109 earlier. I think it's like lower 100s. Yeah, I've been out in it all day, so as long as I'm not moving, I'm cooling off. I've been having to move.
You know where I am? I'm in coastal North Carolina, so we don't really get tremendously hot weather. But this might be the hottest summer since I've lived here. I mean, it was in the 90s today, but because we're near the water and you just get so much humidity, at some point they were saying Well, we get a breeze, but it's like somebody with a blow dryer blowing it in your face, man. It's not really, it's not fun. So I think
Yeah.
what do they call it? The real feel was like 110, and so I wouldn't know
Yeah.
because I have
If
not
it
gone
feels
outside.
110, if they say it feels like 110, it's 110.
Dude,
Okay. I don't want to hear
that's
anything
the way
else.
I am. I mean, y'all call it whatever you want to, but as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned,
Yeah.
it was over 100. So anyway, man. So folks,
It's funny. Yesterday,
I
we did a
I hope
we,
I hope we have
like
enlightened you a little bit, and quite frankly, I hope we pissed you off some because we're going to have to get
yeah.
mad because the folks that are supposed to be representing us, in my view, are not mad enough. Now, I'm not talking about the progressive. I think they're doing it right, and the evidence of that is how people are trying to stop this. There is some momentum
Yeah.
happening, and I'm just a guy that just pattern recognition. You know, that's what traders do. You just
Yeah.
look at stuff and kind of go, huh, what does this all mean? When you see a black lady down in Florida that is DSA winning a statewide election, something's going on. Because think about it. When Mamdani won early, months ago, that's New York. That's, you know, Florida ain't New York. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? Michigan ain't New York. Well, look at there. So
The
these
thing
people
is,
are going to keep winning. I think
if
they're
you,
going to keep winning.
yeah, if you want to stand out in an election, or if you want to win, you have to stand out. And you're not going to stand out by being status quo, sounding like Republicans. People want something different, and you got to give them that. And that's marketing 101, bro. You know what I mean? Supply and demand. Yeah, I mean, come on. They taught us that in elementary school. So
Indeed.
yeah, I think Democrats are really missing the boat.
I think what you're going to see as and I'm not saying that we should put all our eggs in the polling basket, but I do think, pardon me, that I think people are going to be surprised by some of these numbers. What
Yeah.
really irritates me is all the talk about the DSA, and you got Republicans with an atrocious record to run on. They got nothing.
Right.
They got nothing. And so I just don't think and look, I'm not saying every DSA person or every progressive is going to win, but I think some folks are going to be surprised. I really do. I noticed, like you were saying, I noticed with Angie Nixon, a whole lot of black folks, whole lot of people of color around her. So a lot of those folks in Florida, I suspect, the reason Democrats don't win is like you said earlier, they don't put any money in anything. And then
Right.
people aren't really motivated. And so the election rolls around and, we've already seeded the doggone race anyway. And so we lose. But we got to do something different. I told a guy the other day, don't tell me we need a moderate. We think about it, man. Moderate presidential candidates have lost to Trump 2 out of 3 times.
Right. I'm going to end on
We
this
need to do
real
something
quick.
different.
My final word to Democrats is when fascists come knocking on the door, you don't open the door and shake their hand. You blow the door open and kick them in the face. Okay.
Hell yeah.
I'm not trying to make friends with fascists, and that's where we're at. Like a lot of people are sick of what we're seeing on the streets and the Cuba thing and Iran and Venezuela and all these terrible foreign policy decisions. People are sick of it, and trying to be nice about it isn't going to get us anywhere. Hakeem Jeffries needs to nut up or shut up. Cory Booker needs to nut up or shut up. Chuck Schumer needs to retire. He ain't going to nut up, so he just needs to get out of the way. And I mean, that's where we're at. That's kind of where we're at. People want, representation that's going to nut up
we're
or shut up.
well past the strongly worded letter.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we are.
Folks, that's
All right,
all we
man.
got. And as I said, you've got your marching orders, and we just got to keep pushing. We just got to keep pushing. Do you know, I mean, off top of your head, I mean, I guess next Tuesday, is that South Carolina? I think it is. That ought to be
I think
interesting.
it is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, we still got a little ways to go, but you know, hopefully Democrats will wake up. And if they don't, we will definitely keep talking about them. And with that,
You got it right.
with that, I am headed for an adult beverage. And folks, I hope you are too. And a show with no name every Thursday, 6 o'clock Eastern, or 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central.
There you go.
And we will see you that time. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye, y'all.